My brother faked cancer. Parents demand I lie. The thing about lies is that they always rot from the inside first. My brother's story started leaking days ago. First a whisper at the pharmacy, then a message from someone who donated to his cancer fund and wanted a refund. By the time I walked into my parents' kitchen this morning, the whispers had turned into sirens. Cops had called. Someone had tipped them off that the miracle boy everyone prayed for might have never been sick at all. Mom was pacing, cordless phone glued to her ear, voice 2 octaves too high. Dad sat at the table like a statue, staring at a stack of bills labeled medical. I opened my mouth to ask what was happening, but Mom turned that sharp glare on me, the one that means shut up or she'll make you wish you had. It's just confusion, she hissed. People talk. But the tremor in her voice told me it wasn't confusion, it was revelation, and it was coming fast. Then my brother Dominic, the star of this family tragedy, walked in wearing joggers and a brand new watch. He looked surprisingly healthy for a man who was supposed to be dying last month. My first thought, of course he showed up late to his own downfall. He scanned the room, adjusted his sunglasses like some celebrity hiding from TMZ, and said, "They can't prove anything." Not sorry, not scared, just annoyed that his audience had turned skeptical. For context, Dominic's diagnosis was supposed to be aggressive lymphoma, the type that normally has you losing hair, weight, and any sense of humor. Yet, here he was, plump, tan, full head of hair, courtesy of luxury shampoo. The rest of us had cried, sold jewelry, begged neighbors to help with his hospital bills. Even I'd thrown a few paychecks into that bottomless donation jar. Turns out we'd been financing designer sneakers and concert tickets, and now the cops were tracing every penny. "Please," Mom muttered, gripping the counter like it was holy ground. "When the police come, just don't say anything." I laughed, couldn't help it. "You mean lie?" Her eyes narrowed. "Don't twist this. Family sticks together. If they ask, Dominic was sick. Understood? There's something surreal about being lectured on morals by the people helping commit fraud." Dad finally spoke, voice rough. "We can't let this destroy him." I looked at Dominic. He was scrolling through his phone like the word destroy was just background noise. Destroy him? He'd destroyed our entire reputation. The town raised thousands for his treatment. The church organized prayer groups. Kids shaved their heads in solidarity. And I'm supposed to pretend it's all fine? Mom suddenly dropped the phone, turned on me and said, "You're not telling anyone, right?" I told her I wasn't sure what I'd tell. My honesty hit the floor like a bomb. Dad barked my full name, the way he does right before calling something ungrateful. Mom started crying, telling me I didn't understand what jail would do to Dominic, which was hilarious, given she'd always said nothing teaches responsibility like consequences. But somehow, I was the villain. Me, the one who didn't fake chemo or steal donations, was tearing the family apart. That line kept bouncing around my head as sirens echoed somewhere outside. Irony really does have perfect timing. Part of me wanted to grab popcorn and watch the chaos unfold. Another part of me was nauseated, because if I stayed quiet, I'd be part of it. Complicit. But if I told the truth, Dominic would be cuffed before Saturday, and my parents would never forgive me. They'd already rewritten the narrative. He's misguided, I'm heartless, and the world just doesn't understand our private pain. So here I am, standing in that kitchen, watching lies stack higher than the unpaid bills on the fridge, realizing that being right won't feel good at all. The cops are knocking, my mother's frozen, and Dominic's smirking. And just like that, I remember the first time he ever lied. Years ago, over something small. That moment, I should have known this was coming. That's where the real story starts. Act 1. The fake diagnosis. It started one Thursday morning last year when Dominic called a family meeting. That phrase alone should have been a red flag. Dominic never gathered people together unless there was applause or free food involved. I remember him sitting at the end of the table, pale but theatrical, clutching a crumpled piece of paper like it was a death warrant. Mom was the first to gasp when he said cancer. Dad actually sank into his chair, muttering a prayer under his breath. I sat frozen, halfway between disbelief and trying to do mental math on how long it had been since Dominic saw a real doctor for anything besides a hangover. He cleared his throat and said it again, slower this time, as if practicing grief in real time. "They found malignant cells in my lymph nodes." Then came the silence. Long, heavy, cinematic silence, before Mom wailed like a siren and threw herself into his arms. I wanted to believe him. Of course I did. Cancer isn't something you challenge with a raised eyebrow. So I hugged him too, rubbed his back, swallowed that little voice that whispered something was off. The weeks that followed were a blur of casseroles and condolences. Dominic took to social media like a public figure in crisis. His first post had a selfie, shirtless, staring bravely into the distance, captioned, "Fighting the hardest battle of my life." That picture alone raised nearly $500 in an hour. The next one showed a hospital wristband and an IV pole strategically cropped out of frame. People ate it up. Comments poured in from everyone we knew. "Stay strong, you got this, we're praying for you." Mom shared every post with dramatic captions of her own. No parent should have to watch their child suffer. The local church held a fundraiser. Dad's co-workers donated part of their bonuses. I chipped in my savings even though I was suspicious. But guilt is powerful when your brother's supposedly dying. At first, Dominic played the part well. He shaved his head preemptively, saying chemo was starting soon. He wore loose hoodies to look frail and posted quotes about mortality. Everyone cried. Everyone believed. Except me, because he also began posting pictures from fancy dinners. The timeline made no sense. He was supposed to be in treatment, but his social media said, vacation. I remember asking casually one night, "Aren't you supposed to be at the clinic today?" He gave me that smooth grin and said, "They moved my session. Doctors mix up schedules all the time." Mom scolded me for even asking, told me not to stress him out. Dad nodded like a good supporting actor. Maybe I should have pressed harder, but it's hard to argue against collective delusion, especially when grief is involved. Then came the donations page. Mom set it up with a picture of Dominic in a hospital bed. Turns out it was from a quick visit he made to get blood drawn. The caption read, "Help Dominic beat cancer." They listed expenses, treatments, experimental drugs. Soon our town was rallying to save him. Strangers gave money. A local reporter even came by for an interview, and Dominic, ever the showman, gave a teary speech about hope and faith. He'd never been this popular. That alone should have told me it was an act. He started parking a new car in the driveway, said it was a gift from a friend. Mom didn't ask questions. Dad avoided eye contact. Every time I tried to connect dots, there were too many erasers in the room. The red flags kept stacking. His medical jargon wasn't consistent. One week he said chemo, the next it was radiation therapy, then something about stem cells. When I Googled his supposed oncologist, no doctor by that name existed. But bringing that up in front of my parents was like accusing a priest of faking communion. The emotional chaos at home made reality blur. Mom cried constantly, whispering prayers and blaming herself for passing on bad genes. Dad kept spreadsheets of expenses we couldn't afford. Dominic wandered in and out, collecting sympathy like tips. Meanwhile, friends kept dropping off food, and neighbors mowed our lawn out of pity. It was disgusting, the admiration he got for lying. But still, what if he really was sick and I was just bitter? That was the thought that trapped me. Months passed, and his condition seemed steady, which was weird for aggressive cancer. He was somehow gaining weight, getting tan, posting pictures from outdoor festivals. "The doctors say fresh air helps," he'd joke. Mom laughed through tears. I tried not to scream. One weekend I noticed something odd. The bottle of chemo meds he kept on the counter had a pharmacy label for allergy pills. I asked him about it, and he shrugged. "They repurpose stuff now. Chemo is, like, complicated." I told Mom, who sighed and said, "Stop overanalyzing. He's fighting for his life." So I shut up for a while, but then a strange thing happened at a family dinner. Dominic raised a toast to miracles of modern medicine, and my aunt asked which hospital was treating him. He hesitated. Just a flicker, a split-second blank. Then he said a name that didn't exist in our city. The whole table froze. He quickly added, "Oh, it's a small private center, out of town." Everyone nodded. I saw Dad's jaw tighten. Mom changed the subject. That moment was the hairline crack in the facade. From there, the lies started slipping faster. His appointments clashed with televised sports events. His side effects depended on whether the bar was open. He kept forgetting which stage of cancer he was supposedly in. I remember one night he stumbled in drunk, collapsed on the couch, and said, You don't get it, sis. People love sad stories. Makes them feel generous. I just stared at him. He passed out before realizing what he'd confessed. I wanted to record everything after that, but evidence felt pointless when my parents were in full-time denial. Mom called him my brave boy. Dad said, at least people care. And I sat there thinking, for what? For a performance? For an illusion of tragedy? The illusion finally cracked during one of his treatments. He claimed he'd be in the hospital for 3 days. That same weekend, my friend sent me a photo from a concert 2 cities away. There he was, Dominic, center crowd, flashing peace signs. His wristband glowed under the lights. That picture burned into my brain, proof that my gut had been right all along. I waited for him to admit something, anything, but instead he came home limping, saying the drug made him sore. I didn't confront him then. I just looked at Mom crying with pride and Dad nodding proudly, and I realized this wasn't ignorance anymore. It was participation. And the scariest part? Nobody seemed to care whether he lived or died, only whether the story stayed intact. That was the moment I stopped being supportive and started taking notes. Because if Dominic could fake cancer once, who knew what came next? Act 2, the slip-up. The unraveling started on a Tuesday morning, so quiet you could almost mistake it for normal. I was in the kitchen making coffee when Dominic swaggered in wearing sunglasses and holding a smoothie so green it looked radioactive. He said, "Can't talk long, chemo day." I asked which hospital, just casually. He blinked, thought for a second, then said, "Oh, St. Andrews." The last time he'd said Mercy West. The time before that, Cedarbrook. He must have realized too late because he snapped, "You asked too many questions." Then he left. No hospital bag, no ride, just his keys and confidence. That's when I started keeping notes, literal ones. A notebook in my drawer filled with dates, receipts, his ever-changing excuses. If this story was going to collapse, I wanted proof, and proof came fast. 2 days later, I picked up a pile of mail from the porch. One envelope looked official, hospital logo, his name printed neatly. I probably shouldn't have opened it, but temptation won. Inside were not medical statements, but order confirmations for electronics, 2 gaming consoles, a drone, and a limited edition sneaker purchase. All billed to his treatment fund card. I just stood there, letter trembling in my hand, wondering if modern medicine really did involve that many Air Jordans. That night at dinner, Mom asked how chemo was going. He launched into a speech about targeted therapy, sprinkling in words like immunoboosters and plasma balancing. None of it made sense, but my parents nodded along like devout followers. I asked, "Didn't your doctor say something different last week?" He shot me a death glare. "You're not a doctor, Serena. Stop pretending you understand." I wanted to scream, but instead I smiled, because that was when I decided I'd catch him in his own lie. The next weekend, the universe handed me a gift. His supposed chemo sessions always seemed to land on Fridays. Weird coincidence. They also lined up perfectly with big events. I tested it. One Friday I texted, "How's the hospital food?" He replied 2 hours later, "Terrible, napping between treatments." Meanwhile, my coworker sent me a photo of a local concert. Middle of the crowd, beer in hand, screaming at the stage, "Dominic." Hashtag living my best life. I printed that photo, taped it inside my notebook like a trophy. Still, catching him wasn't the hard part. Convincing my parents was. When I showed Mom, she gasped like I'd cursed in church. "This could be old," she said. "He's using music to stay positive." Dad nodded, muttering, "Therapy comes in many forms." I almost asked which medical journal said Budweiser counted as chemo, but sarcasm only fuels denial. Dominic got wind of my snooping and confronted me in the living room. "You think you're better than me?" He spat. "You've always been jealous because people actually care about me." "People cared because they thought you were dying," I shot back. He grinned. That smug, practiced grin that could sell ice to penguins. And whose fault is that? Don't hate the player, hate the sympathy. I couldn't decide if he was proud or psychotic. After that, every conversation was a twisted chess match. He'd accidentally leave hospital wristbands on the counter, tiny details meant to keep suspicion busy. The trouble was, each one had a different barcode and issue number. One even expired 6 months earlier. When I pointed it out, he said, "Hospitals reuse old for recycling. It's like environmental." My mother sighed. "See, he's even eco-conscious." That's when I started laughing during meals, not because anything was funny, but because insanity was contagious. One afternoon I followed him. He said he had a radiation scan downtown. Instead, he pulled into a spa. I watched from across the street as he strutted inside, later emerging in a robe while sipping cucumber water. When he spotted me through the windshield, I sped off, heart pounding, half furious and half impressed by the audacity. I confronted him that night. "You went to a spa," I said. He didn't blink. "Radiation makes your skin sensitive. They recommended special treatments." "Massages?" "Medical massages," he said, with the confidence of a man inventing science on the spot. I stared at him. "So the cucumber water was hydration therapy?" He nodded seriously. "Exactly. Detoxing through pores." I laughed, short and sharp. "You mean sweating from lying too much?" He rolled his eyes. "You wouldn't understand, Serena. Healing isn't one size fits all." I couldn't tell if he believed his own nonsense or just enjoyed the performance. But either way, it deserved an award for commitment. Parents, of course, swooped in to defend him. "He's under stress," Mom said. "Everyone copes differently." Dad added, "Don't provoke him." The phrase, "don't provoke," became our family motto. Me asking for honesty was now considered an attack. That's when the "you're heartless" scene happened. Sunday, brunch, sunlight pouring in, everything painfully wholesome. Dominic complained that his new medication caused joint pain. When I muttered, "From all that dancing at concerts," the room went silent. Mom slammed her fork down. "That's enough, Serena. Do you want your brother to die?" Dad stood up, veins showing. "You've got no compassion." Dominic made himself look smaller, curling up like a martyr. "It's fine," he whispered. "I'm used to her not caring." And cue the tears, Mom hugging him, Dad glaring at me like I'd stabbed someone. Imagine being scolded for doubting a guy who just fake moaned about pain caused by a non-existent illness. That's family theater for you. I stopped attending family meals after that. But I didn't stop collecting evidence. Receipts, screenshots of receipts, you name it. His PayPal transactions were a treasure trove of guilt. Luxury brands, travel tickets, even a deposit to a tattoo artist. The kicker? The payment memo said, "Therapy gift." By now, I had enough material for a true crime documentary. The tension between us grew like mold, quiet but spreading. He would purposely cough when I entered a room, pretend to wobble, then wink when our parents weren't looking. It was like we shared a secret game where I was the only one aware we were playing. Then, finally, the universe cracked his mask wide open. He texted our family group chat, headed for chemo in the morning. 10 minutes later, he accidentally posted a photo to his story. Front row tickets to a rock tour 3 states away. Mom saw it and accidentally liked it before realizing what she'd done. I swear I could feel the panic through the Wi-Fi. She unliked it instantly, called him screaming. He removed the post, returned home that night, claiming a reaction to anesthesia made him confused. I asked, what kind of hospital gives backstage passes? He told me to mind my own business. That stupid argument would have fizzled out like always. But then I stumbled onto something even worse. While cleaning Mom's office, I found a plastic folder labeled medical. Inside were printouts of GoFundMe reports. In the margin, Dominic had scribbled percentage notes, 20% for savings, 15% for car payment. It was literally a budget plan. My stomach turned. When I confronted him again, I didn't shout, I just placed the papers in front of him. This isn't about guilt anymore, it's theft. He stared at me for a long second, then said, "You think anyone cares where the money goes? They just want to feel good about donating." He walked away, humming like nothing happened. That was the final straw. I knew right then that the next mistake he made wouldn't be mine to clean up. I didn't know the cops would soon get involved, or that my parents would beg me to choose silence over truth. But I did know one thing. Dominic's act had too many holes, and it was only a matter of time before one swallowed him whole. And when it did, the blast radius would hit all of us. Act 3. The evidence. I used to think catching a liar felt satisfying, like watching the villain trip over their own words. Turns out, it just feels heavy. By the time the truth finally landed in my lap, it didn't come with triumph. It came with nausea. It started when Mom asked me to drop off Dominic's insurance paperwork at her office. She worked part-time bookkeeping for a small clinic, so the stack didn't look suspicious, until I noticed that every document was a copy. Same signature, same date, same made-up doctor. One even had a misspelled hospital name. I called the number listed under billing contact out of sheer curiosity. It was disconnected. I remember sitting in my car staring at those forms thinking, if he's willing to forge doctor names, what else is fake? So I did what any nosy older sister would do. I went digging through his room. His medical drawer had 3 things: cough syrup, protein powder, and a stack of receipts. I sorted through them expecting gas stations or groceries. Instead, I found designer store logos, meal delivery subscriptions, and a weird one from a tattoo studio titled Custom Phoenix Piece. Payment received. I thought about the meaning of a phoenix, rebirth, survival, and almost laughed at the irony of him branding himself with a lie. One receipt had a note scribbled, "Keep this for tax write-off story." That phrase stuck in my head because it confirmed what I'd already started fearing. This wasn't confusion or exaggeration. It was a business model. When I brought the papers home, Mom saw me sorting them and immediately tensed. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Looking for the truth," I said. Her voice shook. "You shouldn't. You'll only hurt everyone." "That's already happening," I snapped. She snatched a few papers from me, stuffed them into a drawer, and said, "You have no idea the pressure he's under. People expect updates, hope. It's overwhelming." I stared at her. "You're justifying stealing?" She didn't answer, just pressed her palms together and muttered a prayer. That silence told me everything. She knew, maybe not the details, but enough to choose blindness. That night, I called our grandma. She's the only one in this family with both common sense and a solid moral compass. When I told her what I'd found, she sighed and said softly, "I always believed that boy loved attention more than air. But faking illness, that's a sickness too." I nearly cried hearing her say that, not because it excused him, but because someone finally acknowledged how twisted it was. She told me to take pictures of everything, store digital copies somewhere safe. "If this explodes," she warned, "they'll turn on you first." She was right, but I didn't quite believe it yet. 2 days later, Dominic walked into the living room flashing that mock humility people wear when they know they've gone too far but still think they can talk their way out. "We need to chat," he said. I braced myself, but instead of apologizing, he leaned in and whispered, "You didn't see those receipts, right? Because Mom would freak." I asked why. He shrugged. "I might have borrowed some donation money for a trip, like stress leave." "So fraud?" I asked. He rolled his eyes. "I'm not killing anyone, Serena. I'm healing in my own way." That was the moment my disgust turned into something colder, resolve. I printed every receipt, organized them chronologically, and discovered patterns. Same fake hospital names, same amounts transferring from the donation account to his personal card, often within the hour of receiving funds. Even notes like, "Thanks for believing," scribbled next to large PayPal deposits. Mom caught me scanning papers one evening and lost it. "You're tearing the family apart," she yelled, echoing that same line again. "Don't you love your brother?" "I do," I said, "but apparently not enough to help him commit crimes." Dad entered midway through, confused until Dominic walked in and played victim. "I told her I made mistakes," he whimpered, voice cracking like an amateur actor. "I'm trying to fix things." "What fixes stealing donations?" I snapped. "A refund policy." Mom gasped like profanity had left my mouth. Dad barked, "Enough!" That fight didn't end. It dissolved when everyone retreated into separate corners of the house like sulking teenagers. But Mom's words echoed long after. She truly thought protecting him was noble. A few nights later, I woke to muffled voices outside my door. Dominic and Dad whispering about police looking into online funds. My heartbeat thudded so loud I thought they'd hear. Apparently, one donor had requested verification from the hospital and realized no record existed. They'd reported it. That's when the panic started. By morning, Mom was packing boxes of anything remotely medical, pill bottles, brochures, printed test results, and shoving them into the garbage bin. She snapped when I tried to ask what was happening. "You'll thank me when this is over," she said. Conviction does funny things to a family. Suddenly, I wasn't the sister uncovering fraud. I was the traitor plotting against blood. Dominic muttered every time I entered a room. Spy, snitch, saint. The labels changed, but the venom stayed. I confided in my best friend Lila, partly for sanity. She listened quietly, then asked, "You realize this is illegal, right?" Hearing the word illegal from someone outside our house made it real, like flipping on a light. That night, Lila helped me compile everything into a folder: documents, screenshots, timestamps. We named it For When It All Blows Up. We laughed nervously at that title, but deep down, I knew the explosion was imminent. When the police first called our house asking for Dominic, chaos followed like a rehearsed cue. Mom lied immediately, said he was at treatment. Dad shouted something about harassment. Dominic paced like a tiger, sweat rolling down his temple for the first time ever. For a small, petty second, I felt justice crawl into the damn room. But then, Mom turned to me with a look that froze every muscle in my body. "If they contact you," she said quietly, "you tell them everything was real. You love your brother, right? You'll protect him." It wasn't a request. It was a command, dressed like affection. That night I sat alone with my evidence spread across the floor. Receipts, screenshots, names that didn't exist. Proof stacked like a monument to every bad decision this family had buried under love. My phone buzzed. Dominic again, texting me photos of himself in a hoodie captioned, "Remember the good times." I deleted them without looking twice. Grandma called right after. "You look tired even through the phone," she said. "Tell the truth, darling. No family is worth a lie that large." Her words became my anchor. Because for the first time, I understood this wasn't about revenge or exposing him. It was about stopping the decay that started the day he first said, "I have cancer." The next morning when police cars drove past our street, sirens faint but distinct, Mom clutched the curtains and whispered prayers. Dominic vanished upstairs. And me, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open, cursor blinking over the email draft to the detective who'd called earlier. The moral weight in that moment was unbearable. Truth meant prison for him, but silence meant I'd never respect myself again. I hit send. That small act felt nothing like victory. It felt like standing in an empty church after the candles burn out. Quiet, heavy, irreversible. And by nightfall, the whole town would know.